Secretary roll. For Megan Harmon, here. Committee member Stephanie Snyder, here. Committee member.
Here.
And it looks like we'll start with general public comment. Ooh. So sorry.
Oh, approval. Okay. Jumping the gun. So, we have a meeting to review and approve. Comment on the motion? Public comment on the minute?
Do it for everyone.
Okay. Is there any public comments on the minute? Hearing none. Motion.
I'll move the minutes.
Second. We move by acclamation, all in favor. Oh, can I do a quick comment? Yeah, just publicly, but, can you put the W middle initial? Yep. Thank you. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. I'm free, now we'll move on to general public comments. Is there anyone who'd like to make a general public comment? No? No one online, okay. Is committee member and staff communications?
And we do have, staff communications for this one, for the. Sorry.
Great, thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Rosie Dicey, project planner with Community Development, and I just wanted to come and announce to this committee that long range planning is starting an update to our open space element. And I think that's related to what you do. The reason we're doing this update is there was a new state law that passed, I think 2 years ago, that requires every city and county to update their open space element to take into account equitable access and climate resilience and rewilding opportunities, restoration and that. So it's a great opportunity for us because our open space element is from 1979. Really does need updating. Ours combines open space and parks and recreation as one element. And so I have a little work group of members from sustainability and resilience and parks and recreation working with me on this update. It should be completed this year. We started with some outreach. I have a web page that I started where people can sign up and get notifications. And we will be at the Earth Day with the city booth, and we'll have a map of our current open spaces. What we're starting on now is just trying to get an inventory and updated map of what we call open space in the city. And then we'll be working on some goals and new policies and implementation. I don't see it as a really difficult effort to get through, but hopefully we can get it done this year. Also, just as an aside, we are also need to update our safety element. It's part of, once you update your housing element, you have to also update your safety element. So that's sort of running in parallel, but this one has a harder deadline than the safety element update. So we'll be doing this one first. I'm excited to work with you guys on this. And I'll come back probably to your committee when there's a draft ready and we can talk about what we're doing.
Any comments or questions? So we've talked a little bit about an ecological framework for the downtown. Is that part of what would be looked at?
Well, I'd like to know more about it. The downtown wouldn't be considered open space per se, but it's still something that should probably be incorporated in.
Are there no spots within downtown that are open space?
The current open space map calls all the land that's owned by the state of California for the Presidio as open space. So I guess it does qualify. Yeah. So I think there is an opportunity.
I also think this would speak to the reduction plan section on carbon sequestration. We want to tie the two together. So we do have team members on this team. And
Yeah.
gonna get in there.
That's great. Thank you. That's great to know about.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Later.
Item, the annual Santa Barbara Clean Energy Program.
And we have, Ms. Natalie Holmes presenting on this item, and I do want to just give a real questions and comments afterwards. The microphone is up there, so if you could just kind of project and use our theater voices while we're having a conversation, that would be amazing. Thank you. All right.
Uh, Good morning. I'm Stephanie Holmes, Energy and Climate Specialist, and I administer SBC's customer programs. And I'll be providing the update on our residential EV and home electrification accelerator program, and also give an overview of our future programs. Okay, so as many of you know, the residential EV program offers rebates to customers for choosing to drive electric vehicles. The program expanded its offerings from purchase of EVs to include rebates for EV chargers and electrical work in the fall of 2024. As a team, we also increased the rebate levels for income qualified residents to make them more inclusive and equitable. In the near future, we'd like to further explore partnerships with local dealerships to offer a point of sale rebate for income qualified customers. Here is a closer look at the two levels of income qualified incentives available to residents. These tiers were added in the fall of 2024 to dedicate more funds to lower income customers and lower the cost barrier for them to choose electric vehicles, with the aim of making the program more equitable and inclusive. Here is a table of all of the incentives delivered through the RES-E program of FY 25 and to date. As you can see, the number of income qualified applicants and incentives delivered has increased in FY 25, which is very exciting. And here is a breakdown of the count for each of the residential EV offerings. A reminder that the EV purchase offering has been available since November 2023, and the EV charger and associated electrical work have only been available since the fall of last year. So that was RES-EV, and on January 15th of this year, SBCE staff launched the Home Electrification Accelerator Program, affectionately referred to as HEAP. This program is designed to target the second biggest emissions source in Santa Barbara, which is natural gas. HEAP incentivizes SBCE customers to make the switch to electric appliances by providing rebates, fast and free permitting, and live assistance. HEAP's rebate offerings include those for heat pump water heaters and associated electrical work. In the near future, this program will also offer emergency replacement services for hot water heaters. Here is a table outlining HEAP's current incentives for replacing electric resistance water heater, replacing a gas water heater, and associated electrical work. HEAP has a few requirements meant to make it as simple as possible. Of course, eligible applicants must be SBCE customers. Equipment and projects must be purchased and installed after the start of the program, January 15th. We do require permits, itemized invoices, and photos in the application. And these rebates can be stacked with any and all other incentives except for those from PCE.
Because they would not be an SBC customer.
Because they would not be an SBC customer, yes, but for others, it wouldn't be a conflict of interest. We have something exciting in the works, which is this Native Trees pilot program. This program would be in support of the carbon sequestration section of the Climate Action Plan. We will give drought tolerant native trees out to the community to plant on their private property. The trees will be sourced from the Botanic Gardens, and they will be initially tracked using SB Connect. This pilot is in collaboration with our Creeks division, and staff has looped in water resources and urban forestry to get their input and to make this as comprehensive as possible. Depending on the success of this event, we'd like to hold additional events and have more trees available for the community, and maybe get some more sophisticated wrapping. So far, we've covered our active and immediate upcoming programs. We'll now look at some future SBCE programs. So in FY 26, we are looking to expand our transportation offerings to include multifamily EV charging. Our multifamily EV charging program will offer free technical assistance for building owners and incentives for level 1 and level 2 charging projects, as well as make-ready electrical work. It's very important to us that we have an offering for multifamily residences, and this program is practically ready to launch. Depending on our budget for next year, we may want to move this program up. This offering would serve a significant portion of our community that we're not currently reaching, so we're very excited to getting this launched. Another future program we're excited about is expanding HEAP to include HVAC. Heat pump HVAC systems are extremely efficient and would have a considerable impact on the lives of our customers, especially during heat events. The program would have a very similar structure to the current heat pump water heater offering, with fast and free permitting, tiered income qualified incentives, and similar structure for rebates on units. And finally, we have a smaller scale project that we have on our list, which is the Electrification Education Grant Program. This program is still in its conceptual phase, and the aim is to engage students in climate action and build community awareness around climate change and electrification, and ultimately involve the community in getting us together to carbon neutrality by 2035. Sort of high-level projects may be proposed by a group of students or individuals and can include school programs, videos, installations, technology, art projects, and whatever else they can be creative about. These projects should educate their peers and the community on climate action, but that's a quite high level. And that is all I have for you. I can take questions. And thank you so much. Questions from anybody?
I'm very excited about the HEAP program. It's been gone through 2 winters waiting without a heater working. When is the heat pump? This one.
The HVAC. So, like I mentioned, that's looking at FY 26.
Okay.
Yes.
And then is there any advantage, disadvantage to waiting? You know, to do this one and then that one?
Oh, like doing it all at
For the heat,
once?
Or will it be like one?
I think you'd want to maybe wait because your panel would need to be assessed, or if you did one, just make sure they know that you're planning on doing a heat pump, air source heat pump.
Yeah.
Because you can make sure that they either have enough capacity in the panel or are preparing to include a span panel or that.
Okay, so that's, and does public know that they're participating in this program?
So that's where our technical assistance
Okay.
kind of comes in. It's hard to engage people on their panel side. They don't even have a panel all the time. So that is part of our education piece.
And that would be with solar too, right?
Electric vehicle charging, I mean, any of it. So it's really the contractors that we need to work with to make sure they're sort of communicating that, right? When they go out to look at the panel, do you have other planned updates?
Yeah.
And same with especially solar contractors, do you have planned increases in your load? Because you are allowed to overbuild if you have planned increases in your load. Like,
Okay, it was a pretty key point because like, you know, people who do these things as they go, like the solar people come out and they ask about that.
and each time you have to look at your panel,
And it's like, well, yeah, I have an electric vehicle but you know,
maybe we can do a checklist.
programs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing that is also coming out that we didn't mention that Stephanie is working on it is the concierge service that we're offering.
Mhm.
So we're basically offering a number that you can call and get these questions answered in both English and Spanish. So it kind of lays out the entire pathway that you'll need to go under, and it also discusses what other incentives are available from other agencies that you could stack with this.
Instead of calling you all the time.
Yeah.
It's tricky because I get confused and don't know what's available to me, and I'm sitting here.
Well, the pathway is different for everyone, really, depending on your income level, what you're installing, what your load is, right? So it's truly this sort of bespoke service that actually both Stephanies are working on is key. And I think we're the first CCA to launch this in-house, you know, where we're sort of taking our own staff to do it. And so it's really exciting.
And I want to correct, Stephanie did actually mention slide 13.
Yeah. We can get into it, but that's what that is.
Maybe it could be something on the permit that they check, like, did you inform, or are you aware of, or some.
Well, we can talk to the building and safety about that. There's a lot of noise when you're going for a permit already, so it's a little bit tricky to get through to the customer, right? They just sort of have their eye on the prize at that point, but we can be creative about that.
Okay, just because it's exciting. And
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
wouldn't want the customers to start with one, be like, well, shoot. I didn't know.
I think there's some opportunity with the contractors.
Yeah.
Ask to us questions.
Yeah, before the big expansion, because we've been receiving feedback for the last 6 weeks since it launched, and we're taking it all into account to make it easier for people.
And then for the trees, the question, which I think I'm so excited about this. Is it for a single family, or is it multifamily if they have the property owner has, or how?
So way I've got it laid out is, yes, your private property or written express permission from the property owner. It's still in the works because I do want to make sure that a broad amount of the community can participate in it. If it just goes to single family this time, it's like, okay, we can iterate on further events because we do anticipate this to be really successful.
Just a reminder that we.
How am I gonna do that?
You just want to avoid having a private conversation.
I can't, okay, I'll talk louder.
Thank you, that's
and
perfect,
do
that's
this
perfect.
way And
Yes.
apologize.
No, so
Well, this is really exciting, this NAP program, and the more people that it's accessible to, obviously, the better.
And just as a reminder, the climate action plan called for the installation of 4,500 additional trees, which if we were to do on public land would require an increase in staffing and infrastructure for Parks and Rec. So this is sort of an elegant way to defray some of those costs and give community members some added ownership of that process.
Very exciting. Councilmember Freeman?
Yes, Aurelia, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna start, well, we'll start on that point, I guess slide 16, it's the native tree. And I think it even gets back into with the earlier item from Ms. Feisty, but, so I just spoke last week with Eric Cardenas of the Garden, and they're doing their community vision and policy platform in support of biodiversity on California's Central Coast. That's the official name of it. But the Garden is making a major shift in policy in order to promote biodiversity in South Coast in particular, but South Harbor City. And so my question is this part of that vision for them to help prove proof of concept? And then will we be collaborating with them in the future on other sustainability initiatives?
Well, Councilmember Friedman, funny you should ask. I just made an appointment, or Mr. Cardenas just made an appointment with me this morning to discuss this next week. So we will be talking with them. As Ms. Holmes mentioned, these trees are being sourced from the Botanic Garden, so it's sort of de facto we are working with them on it. But this initial pilot is quite small, so there's a lot of room to expand it. And that's Ms. Holmes' plan, is to iterate, right, based on lessons learned. And I do anticipate we would work with the Botanic Garden as sort of the expert, right, on this here.
That's encouraging, and it's like, I'm just learning about it myself. I just had a conversation with last Friday, actually. And so to save us time later, that's a future agenda item. Once you understand what it is, I think it would be beneficial to have an update here on what they are doing. When the timing's right, it's not gonna be in the next couple of months, whatever it is, but. And so that's exciting as well. I like that, especially using the garden as their part on this. So if you could pull up slide 14. So I have a question, and it reads slide 13 as well. Slide 13 actually says the home electrification is slide 13, is that for, water heaters? Is that what you're talking about? Or, and is that, and it says here, single family homes and duplexes. How does that work for condo, like condo association, where we have multiples that would want to-
So at the moment, those aren't eligible for this program. We're hoping to expand into a multifamily on another round of updates to this program.
even if they're their own single, like your electric bill, your gas bill is your own bill. Is there infrastructure issues associated with that? Because it seems to be their single.
This came out of planning and working with building and safety on the way that condos are treated in shared walls and just the regulations associated with that. Which is why at this initial launch, we just had to go out with single family. It's something that we're looking to address, but it'll take a little bit more coordination and with building and safety.
Okay. So that gets me to my next question, and this is like similar to you, I have quite, your own home, it's a great example. And so my example is I live in a condo complex, that is all electric for everything, right? Which y'all aware about because I've been working on the next question I'm gonna have on cars, but Jefferson's been working on me in like 3 different career paths. Well, back your days in the CEC on that one. But, so we have, each unit has their own water heater, which is electric already. So if we wanted to change out from the big, huge water heater that you have to have, you know, having it on, does this allow us to upgrade our water heater when it goes out and we have to get a new one? Can we be more energy efficient? Or is this home, slide 14, is this just for, single family and duplexes?
So it is still single family, but as Mr. Litton mentioned, we are looking to expand it. It's just the rules are a bit nuanced with how we do that. But even if you're all electric currently, given the time that your condo complex was built, it's probably electric resistance heating, which this would be more efficient. So ultimately, if we can get some incentives to you, it would still be a good idea too.
Okay, so, but for now, this would not apply to
Correct.
a situation like EMI 45 acres, right? Okay, that's all I want to know. I didn't want to go tell them, hey, we got this program and like,
Yeah.
you can do your homework. Okay, that's coming on multifamily.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to the last one would be 18. So again, would this work for complexes, multifamily complexes? This is coming and this would help get the infrastructure, the permitting for them to put in electric chargers. Would these be? What type of infrastructure would it be? Would it be where the garages are, each one gets its own plug-in? Or would it be more of, there's communal parking, so you take out a regular parking space and you put in, you know, 3 or 5 or whatever it is, electric chargers?
So the first step in this is the technical assistance, and so we're talking with a company that would basically go to each, they would do outreach to multifamily buildings, and basically gather up interest, and then go out to each site and then work with the property owner and the tenants there about developing a plan that is suitable for their needs. And so it's gonna look at their electrical panel, what they can do with their existing electrical panel, and develop basically a charging plan based on that. And then also a charging plan based on if they wanted to do a panel and a service upgrade, what they would do. So it's basically going to present a series of options. And then the next step after that is an incentive that's going to be available.
So I think he's asking too, like location, is it going to look at the way to install the?
Yes, yeah, so it's going to offer, you know, level 1 charging, level 2 charging, so in the different spots that you could put it.
So it could be, it's based on each circumstance, so it could be if each unit were to have their own covered parking, whatever, parking space where there's an outlet in front of it. You might be able to get it where they could use their own parking space to charge overnight, just as if they're single family home. But electric capacity, whatever, might not allow that, or they might not have enough spaces, because a lot of places now are underparked.
So-
So then you would be able to maybe offer 5 or 10 state parking spaces that are communal determined and charging.
And one of the options too, and you can see it actually depicted in this photo, is EV ready. Where there is an outlet available at each space, but it's not necessarily designated an EV spot. There's not a charger there. And so this offers again flexibility. So.
And is this program up in, is this future? And then, well, I guess when the time comes, I'd just be interested in for the funding, would it be Mr. Whitten? Do we know who the funding contact would be on it?
Business homes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so when it comes,
Any of us is fine.
when it comes up, I'd be interested in that because my, complex in particular, we've gone down. We've tried to do solar, we've tried to do everything to prepare for it, but if there's an opportunity, we actually have a committee that's looking at it, so, when the timing, when this program's up and running, which would be next fiscal year, right? So it would be probably the fall, so earliest.
This is one of the programs that is being delayed based on the pro forma, so it might be even January, we have to wait. and see
Okay.
what happens.
So I'll just put a ticker and come back. Sit down. Okay. And I think that was, yeah, those are all my questions.
All right, well, as a renter in multifamily, I don't have a personal scenario to present, but look forward to the day when I do. But I do have one question related to the pro forma and our budgeting issues, and let me backtrack very briefly to say this is amazing. We all, that you guys are continually on cutting edge, which is so great. I seem to remember when we had the conversations about changes in rates, that there was some brief mention of having to reduce the incentives and, or the amount of the incentives, and I'm wondering if that reduction is reflected in any of these, or in what the reduction was, and maybe it's not applicable here, I just wondering how that relates.
Thank you, Councilmember Harvin. And just a quick note, we were conscientious to not include budget numbers in the presentation because the budget has not been released yet. the proposed budget.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. But just to explain why
Okay.
that's missing. But in the pro forma discussion, that's right. So what, we're not reducing incentive amounts, we're delaying new programs. So
Okay.
the EV
Oh, I see.
incentive is going to stay, the
Okay, great.
water heater incentive is going to stay. We're looking actually at creative ways to try and at least get a head start on the multifamily, the planning piece
Mhm.
and the HVAC piece, but those are the ones that are planned to push out until we reassess.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, well, now I'll open it up to public comment. Does anyone? We have such distinguished- No public comment. Okay, well, close public comment, return to my colleagues for comments.
I'll just say I appreciate all this and, I don't have much other than. Just want to say that there's a lot going on here and, the last part in particular, but that question was asked because it is going to be front and center on when these programs are going to come forward. But it's, some of these are years and years in the making and it's in line with our, just our overall plan, for carbon reduction, but also meeting a need that's out there, especially with the multifamilies, because so many people live in multifamily settings that we're not able to reach on a lot of these issues. So I'm glad that we're able to facilitate that and move it forward. It's a long road, it's complex, but we've made a lot of progress from where we were just a couple of years ago, which speaks to the power of this shift of this whole program. Because if we didn't have some of our clean energy, we wouldn't even be having these conversations. So that's all I got, and I look forward to more updates on this.
This is really exciting every time you come back with something new, and this is the first time I think I've seen like specifically written out for the cooling of the city, this native tree program planting, and just that, you know, it's often happened in this committee, like people talk about things and talk for decades, talk about things, and then ecological framework, and then different things, and they're all things that are already long in the making, but it's so exciting to see that these things are actually policy and moving forward and then have actionable items about it, like not just talking about, yeah, we need more trees to be a cooler, you know, have a cooling effect, but then like, oh, and here's a program to do that. So it's all really exciting, and I think that the constant focus on how to get this to multifamily, how to get this to more people, I mean, I think that's it's not to crack there, but it's that you keep mentioning it each time and how to move that forward. And I think it's encouraging. It's just really, really exciting.
Agree, echo all of that wholeheartedly. So with that, we can close this item and move on to item 6, which is input from committee on topics of interest.
And I just want to mention before you write it, but although we have the one biodiversity update, we next month are bringing, so we gave an SBC program update. Next month, we're giving a citywide sort of sustainability focused program update. So it'll be for information only, but your committee has asked for that in the past as our ambassadors, so to speak. So, it will be a longer meeting next, it'll be probably the full hour and a half. We have a lot of folks from around the organization that are going to be speaking about the good work that we're doing and resource focused programming. So that's coming. We are still working on the follow-up to the ecological framework and what we might be able to do as an organization there. So stay tuned. And that is what's planned so far.
Just thank you. So if part of that update, I'm sure it'll be part of it, but the update on B-Cycle.
Yes.
Just sort of customer service issues and then expanding the program, like I hear expanding City College or different places, so just gonna sort of very specific to B-Cycle where that is or going.
We will be discussing that.
Thank you. And then, something, I'm not sure what department this comes up in, but, home hardening and, because we're sustainability and resilience, like, so that's, I don't know that fits under here or.
So there are early conversations about specifically wildfire related
Mhm.
home hardening that we're having our department with the fire department and a little bit Parks and Rec, because we have the grant, which is more vegetation management. I don't know that we'll be ready for next month to.
Oh, not
provide
next
an
month,
update, but-
long range.
Okay, fantastic.
Long
Yeah.
range, just, it was more sort of a question consideration of where does that fit? And sort of, oh no, not next month, it's a bigger.
Yeah, so that is being added to the task list for our new resilience division. We have Melissa Hedrick is the new resilience adaptation
Okay.
manager. And are planning to expand that program. So.
Excellent, so that'll be part of the resilience, so it does fall under that, I guess that was my.
But it's certainly an intra-departmental effort. Yeah.
Right, because one of the things, Councilmember Stern, that we're looking at as part of that is not just the educational piece of that, and connection to resources, but then also the ability, what sort of like funding or grants might be available, right, to address those who would have a more difficult time, who would otherwise want to participate. So that's what this team is working on.
Great, thank you. For you?
Just to follow up on that, can't really talk about it, it's not on the agenda, but when you said that interdepartmental team, does that include community development?
It does, it
Okay,
does.
I just wanted to
Thank you,
be sure
yes.
because there's a lot of issues with what we have now that can't get permitted for hardening for whatever reasons, but
And
I just
actually,
want to be
that's
sure that's.
exactly what the team is working on currently.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we can't really talk about it, but that's something I'd be interested in.
It's a future item.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
future
but that's something I would be interested in the future is community development in particular. Any roadblocks that they have versus being able to do home parking. And then the previous one that I already mentioned about at some point in the future, no rush on the garden. And that's it.
I just have one note that I probably should have, put in the communications item, but I'm just gonna do it here. Most people here already know, but for those that don't, and those that may be watching this, the Coastal Commission is gonna be in Santa Barbara on April 9th, 10th, and 11th. And so that's a really, special opportunity. The commission hasn't been here in a decade. So, there's lots of reasons for that, but, they are coming and it's an incredible opportunity, both I think for elected officials, but also particularly community members and our staff. To come to general public comment and talk about the incredible things that Santa Barbara is doing around sustainability and resilience as it particularly intersects with our coast and the Coastal Act and adaptation. So I would just encourage everyone who's interested both to come to the hearing and see how it works, because it's quite a unique experience, but then also to the extent that you're able and willing to make public comment. And it's a real opportunity when the commission comes to a city for the commissioners who make decisions about Santa Barbara all the time to get to know who we are, what our programs are, what we stand for, what we believe in. And I always find it incredibly useful when community members come and make public comment at the beginning of the hearing and, you know, months later, I'll be voting on an item and say, oh yeah, I remember that person came and spoke to us about how critical the wharf was or what an important perk that was for their kids. And it really, really makes a big difference. So I wanted to put that out there and also encourage everyone here to share with your networks as well. Because sometimes we're not as good at getting the word out, like we're kind of in a little bit of an echo chamber at the commission. And if you could push that out, it's gonna be at the Hilton. I keep wanting to say Hyatt. I know it starts with H. Exactly. It's gonna be at the Hilton, and then, you know, there's a process for putting in a public comment request. You can just Google it or reach out to me and I can help, but put that on your calendars for April 9th, 10th, and 11th. That's it. Anything else? Anybody? Okay, with that, we're adjourned. Yeah, I only have 5 minutes.